Here's a rundown on suing China for $25 billion. Abolishing ATF, Fauci and Soros Crimes, featuring Andrew Bailey by Sean Ryan. Andrew Bailey, the Attorney General of Missouri, is a force to be reckoned with. With a decorated combat veteran background and a prosecutor's experience, he's been taking on the federal government and fighting for constitutional rights. He's also a devoted husband, father of 4, and a Christian. Andrew's passion for protecting the Constitution and enforcing laws as written has led him to take on some of the biggest challenges in the country. One of the most significant threats he sees is corporate censorship, particularly on big tech social media platforms. He believes that the censorship going on today is worse than at any point in human history, with big tech oligarchs silencing voices that dissent from their worldview. Andrew's plan is to require big tech social media platforms of a certain size to allow users to select their own algorithm when they first engage. He believes that antitrust litigation is also a powerful tool in taking on big tech, and his office has already engaged in antitrust litigation against Google. As Attorney General, Andrew has a unique line of authority to go after big tech through consumer protection law. While every state's laws are different, Andrew's working relationships with his colleagues have allowed him to take the lead on many issues. With his commitment to protecting the Constitution and enforcing laws as written, Andrew Bailey is a champion of free speech and a thorn in the side of big tech. Andrew is concerned about Chinese infiltration, particularly with companies like TikTok. He believes Congress made a sound decision in passing the divestment bill, which would force the owner of TikTok to sell the platform. Andrew thinks President Trump will navigate this situation effectively, as he understands that showing weakness to bullies only encourages them. Andrew's office has also gone to trial against the Chinese Communist government for the harm inflicted on Missourians during the COVID-19 pandemic. He's confident they'll get a $25 billion judgment against the Chinese government, which would be a historic win. If they succeed, the money would be allocated to the people of Missouri, who would decide how to use it through their elected representatives. Andrew grew up in Columbia, Missouri, a college town with a small-town feel. He was raised by his parents to love the United States and the state of Missouri, and to understand the importance of the Constitution. He was a Boy Scout and an Eagle Scout and enjoyed fishing, hunting, and sports. In high school, he got into debate and was part of the debate team. Andrew's life story is one of patriotism, public service, and a commitment to fighting for what's right. As Attorney General of Missouri, he's taking on some of the toughest challenges facing the country, from big tech to the Chinese Communist government. His dedication to the people of Missouri and the United States is inspiring, and his actions are making a real difference. Andrew realized that there was a war on, and he wanted to serve his country. He graduated from Army ROTC and listed his preferred branches, with armor being his top choice. He was assigned to the 3rd Armored Cavalry Regiment and deployed to Iraq. Andrew was a college student when 9/11 happened, and he remembers watching the second plane hit the World Trade Center with his roommate. He felt angry and wanted to avenge the people who had been killed. He chose to go into tanks because he had always admired George Patton and mounted warfare. Andrew's experience in Iraq was intense, and he saw a lot of combat. He was part of Operation Restore Rights in Tal Afar, Iraq, which was a hotbed of insurgent activity. He worked with SEALs to retake the town, and they had to deal with a lot of IEDs and sniper fire. Andrew's platoon did not suffer any casualties, but they did lose some Iraqi soldiers to sniper fire. Andrew's time in the Bradley was intense, and he had to deal with the possibility of being hit by an IED at any moment. He remembers one incident where his troop commander's tank was destroyed by an IED, and it was a sobering experience. Andrew did 2 deployments to Iraq, and his second deployment was a long one, 15 months. He was an XO and then a troop commander, and his unit was based at Key West, just south of Mosul. The mission had changed significantly by then, and the Americans were more in a support role for the Iraqis. Andrew's unit did not go into Mosul, but they did some work pushing out smaller FOBs to try to add stability to the area. They were told that they could re-enlist, and Andrew was offered a chance to go to law school through the Army, but he decided to leave and pursue his education on his own. When Andrew returned home, he met with an HR representative from the Pentagon to discuss his future in the military. The Army has a fully funded legal education program, but there was a window of time to apply, and Andrew was concerned that being sent to Fort Hood, Texas, would prevent him from participating in the program. Andrew got out of the Army and moved to St. He was determined to become a prosecuting attorney, thanks to his experience growing up in court with his grandfather, a law enforcement officer. Andrew believes that the death penalty is an important tool for prosecutors, but acknowledges that ensuring the guilt of the accused is a critical aspect of the process. Andrew's experience as a prosecuting attorney has also given him a unique perspective on the challenges faced by veterans, particularly those struggling with addiction and PTSD. He believes that psychedelic therapy could be a valuable tool in helping veterans overcome these challenges, and is willing to be a leading voice on the issue. As a veteran himself, Andrew is passionate about ensuring that those who have served receive the treatment they deserve, and is critical of the VA's handling of veteran care. Andrew's background as a combat veteran and prosecuting attorney has prepared him to take on tough issues, including the death penalty and veteran care. He is determined to make a difference in his community and is not afraid to speak out on the issues that matter most to him. He notes that this right is one of the most sacred in the United States, and it's designed to protect due process and ensure good outcomes. Andrew believes that the system is set up with ample safeguards to prevent miscarriages of justice, and that most of the time, juries get it right. When it comes to selecting a jury, Andrew explains that it's a process called a veneer panel, where individuals summoned for jury duty are questioned by attorneys and the judge to ensure they can be impartial. If there's any doubt, the juror can be struck for cause or dismissed by the judge. Andrew notes that the Missouri Supreme Court conducts its own proportionality review in capital cases, which is unique to these types of cases. Andrew has also worked on habeas appeals, which are collateral attacks on a conviction, claiming there was a constitutional or statutory defect in the trial. Andrew's family has a unique dynamic, with 4 kids ranging in age from 2 to 12. He notes that conversations about adoption start early, and they allow the children to ask questions and process their emotions. Andrew loves being a dad and believes that it's the best thing that's ever happened to him and his wife. He recalls how his oldest 2 kids first shifted, asking about where they came from when they were adopting their 3rd child. Andrew and his wife were discussing the adoption process, which involves the termination of parental rights, a legal proceeding that can be tough on everyone involved. Andrew's kids were in the foster system because something terrible happened at home. He remembers going through foster training and learning about the trauma that kids in the system have experienced. He likens it to being dropped in a foreign country where everything is unfamiliar. Andrew and his wife try to create a loving home for their kids, but they knew that the biological parents might reach out to them in the future. In Missouri, there's a registry that allows adopted kids to sign up to receive contact from their biological families. Andrew's kids can choose to interact with their biological parents if they want to. Andrew's focus is on making sure his kids know that they're loved and that they're Baileys no matter what. As a father, Andrew advises others to prioritize time with their kids. Andrew is a busy guy as the Missouri AG, but he blocks out time for his family and prioritizes sit-down dinners and Bible lessons together. Andrew struggles with balancing work and family life, just like many other high performers. He tries to gauge whether he's doing a good job by asking if his kids are happy. He believes that if his kids are happy, then he must be doing something right. Andrew's approach is to be purposeful and conscious of his time, turning off his phone and setting it aside when he needs to focus on his family. Andrew's family is his top priority, and he makes time for them despite his busy schedule. Andrew's approach to balancing work and family life is to be intentional and make the most of the time he has with his loved ones. He believes that social media platforms have become the modern public square for conversation, and their influence on American culture and discourse is only going to grow. He discovered this by monitoring what's going on in the public domain and receiving consumer complaints. Andrew's team uses consumer protection law to address these issues, and they've made some significant discoveries. For example, they found that the FBI was in possession of Hunter Biden's laptop and knew of its authenticity, but they didn't do anything about it. Andrew also mentions that the deep state and the FBI worked with big tech to suppress the story. They work with a team that is well-versed in tech and SEO to help them navigate the complex world of online platforms. Andrew is concerned about the pardons issued by President Biden, particularly the ones for Fauci and his family. He questions the legality of these pardons, citing the difference between the U.S. Constitution and the Missouri State Constitution. Andrew argues that the pardons may be too broad and vague, and that there's a deeper problem with the 2-tier justice system. Why? Andrew also mentions that he's in contact with Kash Patel, who he believes will be a great FBI director. Andrew's team is working hard to uncover the truth and hold people accountable, and he's determined to follow through with their investigations, no matter how complex or challenging they may be. He pointed out that any state where an element of the offense was committed could pursue charges, citing Virginia as an example. Andrew emphasized the importance of equal protection under the law and the need for the rules to be consistent, fair, and predictable. Andrew also discussed the possibility of suing China for $25 billion and abolishing the ATF. He's not afraid to take on big challenges and is committed to fighting for what's right. He's also mentioned the crimes of Fauci and Soros and is determined to hold them accountable. It's clear that Andrew is a man of strong convictions and is not afraid to speak his mind. Andrew also discussed his lawsuit against IBM, which alleges that the company's DAA program is discriminatory and violates the Missouri Human Rights Act. He notes that the president of IBM was caught on video threatening employees who didn't promote people of certain racial classifications, and that this is an example of corporate racism. Andrew hopes that the lawsuit will set a precedent for other states to take action against corporate DA programs. Andrew believes that George Soros hates America and is trying to destroy it from within. He thinks that Soros' actions are working, but he's determined to fight back. He notes that Florida is another state that's taking action against Soros-backed prosecutors, but it's few and far between. In Missouri, if you're charged with a crime and claim self-defense, that's a special negative defense. The state has to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that you didn't act in self-defense. Andrew drafted the clemency paperwork that the governor signed to exonerate the McCloskeys. He thinks that the fact that someone is in your house without your permission is a fact that goes toward your decision to use self-defense. Andrew's office has been busy, increasing criminal prosecution by 133% in 1 year. They've also collected millions of dollars in settlements and judgments on behalf of defrauded Missouri consumers. Andrew wants to do the job right and deliver results and wins for the people of Missouri. Andrew's biggest challenge is recruitment and retention. He's trying to find public service-minded individuals who are willing to work for less and work harder. He shifted a practicum with the University of Missouri Law School to give law students the opportunity to work at the AG's office and get class credit. Andrew is proud of his team and the work they're doing. He's determined to keep fighting for the people of Missouri and to hold those in power accountable. He's worked as a prosecuting attorney and even adopted kids, which changed his career trajectory. He worked for the governor for several years, and when Eric Schmidt, the sitting attorney general, ran for the United States Senate and was elected, Andrew was appointed to take his place. It's been a wild ride ever since. Andrew's also had a mentorship program in place where senior counsel from law firms across the state meet with his trial teams to help mentor them. This has resulted in 7 complete defense verdicts in civil defense cases in just 15 months, with $0 paid out to plaintiffs. The program has also reduced turnover rates, with the number of attorneys leaving the office decreasing significantly. Andrew's proud of the progress they've made, and it's clear that he's passionate about his work. As for future aspirations, Andrew's open to new opportunities, including federal positions like Attorney General or even the FBI. He's a big fan of President Trump and his administration and believes they're doing a great job. He's also hopeful that Vice President Vance will run for president in the future and thinks he'd be a great fit for the job. Andrew's just happy to be serving and is excited to see where the road leads. To access the complete 29-minute summary and unlock detailed insights for each topic discussed in the video, please subscribe to Quick Podcast Summaries on Spotify and Apple Podcasts with free trial and later, just for the price of candy in most places. Happy listening.